Hey everyone, welcome back to the couch. My name's Jeanette with Reacting Realms, and today we're doing something a little different. We're doing a book review because I have had some friends asking me lately to read some romantasy. Now, if you've been following me at all, you'll know that I'm huge into fantasy books. I started way back in the day with The Belgariad by David Eddings. I've read Robert Jordan. I've read George R. R. Martin. I've read Robin Hobb. I've read Brandon Sand. I've read it all. Pretty much, if it's out there, I've probably read it at this point. One of my favorite authors is Melanie Ron, but she's not as famous, but she wrote this really awesome series called the Dragon Prince series, and it is fantastic in case you guys want to read it. But my friends have been asking me to read some romantasy, and I have not read romantasy before, but apparently Amazon have bought the rights to a very popular series called Fourth Wing. So I decided to get the book from my library and read it, but my library, the wait to get Fourth Wing at my library was like over a year long. So they had the graphic audio version. Now, if you guys don't know what graphic audio is an audiobook. But, and I am not getting paid to say this, but graphic audio, if you want to pay me to say this, I will. Graphic audio is fantastic. I have read all of Brandon Sanderson's books, but I've also listened to the graphic audio of all of Brandon Sanderson's books, and they are amazing. So, Graphic Audio is a company that has different actors play the different parts of the book, and they add music and sound effects to the book. So, you're getting this whole experience of an audio book, but it's like their catchphrase, it's a movie in your mind, and it really is. And I drive a lot, like for work and for travel and stuff, and so I listen to a lot of books on tape. So I decided that the wait was a lot less for the graphic audio version, but they only had part one, and it's two parts. So this is a review of the first half of Fourth Wing, the graphic audio version. And the beginning of graphic audio is always like, it's a movie in your mind. And I love it. So if you can't get the book version because your library is too long a wait, then try to see if your library has a graphic audio version, because they might. My library has quite a bit of different graphic audio things. I'm waiting right now. Actually, I'm waiting. I have a whole list. I strongly support my local library. I almost always buy things, get things from the library. Sometimes I'll buy things if I can't get it at the library, but usually I try to get things at my local library, support them. So I'm on a list in my library for the second half, so I'm waiting for that. I don't think it's that long, so hopefully I'll get it in the next few weeks, and I'll be able to, and I'll listen to it in a week. It won't take me that long. Um, so I'm gonna do this recap and kind of review of the first half, and then when I finish the second half, I'll do the next. And my goal is to get all of the books, because I think there's 3 books in this series, done before the show comes out. I don't think the show is going to be out anytime soon. They just announced, like, I think it was the spring, that they had bought the rights and this was in development. I think they have a showrunner now, but they like lost a showrunner. And I'm not like paying super attention to this, but a little bit, especially to do some research for my video. Okay, so Fourth Wing. I My first impressions are that this is a mess, and I love it. Like I'm waiting anxiously for the next part of the audiobook, because I really want to see what happens. It's like, so far there's not that romance. Like, I was expecting spicy, and there has not been that. But I think maybe that'll happen in the second part of the book. I don't know. So far, up into where I've gotten, there's been maybe a kiss and a little bit of like, ooh, he's so hot, but not actually like spicy. So hopefully we get there. I'm hoping. The only book I've read that I guess would qualify as romantasy, which I did not realize this at the time because it was just a fantasy book, but it had a lot of spiciness to it, is Kushiel's Chosen, I think is the series called. And that thing is, if you like romantasy, that one is quite up there on the spiciness. I think. I don't know. I haven't read. I'm not like into romance or anything, so I don't know where it falls in spiciness. But to me, it was really spicy because like Brandon Sanderson is like a vanilla cookie, right? He's like not spicy, Whereas George R. R. Martin, he's got some spice, but it's more like to like show the graphic and the gore and not about the romance. So, okay. So let's get into our recap of, of this book, which I'm going to be snarky about this, but I actually did really like it. And I'm looking forward to the next part. Okay, so we start off and we meet right off the bat our protagonist, whose name is Violet Sorrengail, and she is a small girl. They keep saying this, like she's so small, she's so delicate. She has some sort of like, I don't know, disorder, disease, I'm not really sure, that makes her bones break easy. And she's kind of like weak, and also it makes her hair kind of get white or silvery at the ends just. And I guess it came from her like mom got some sickness or something when she was pregnant. I didn't really pay attention that much. Sorry. So she is the protagonist. She is the daughter of like the general of the dragon army. There's dragons in this book. This is why I like this book. Also, there's dragons. Uh, and okay, so she's small, she's fragile, and she doesn't want to die. Fair. She also really likes books. I can connect with this girl. I'm not small. Well, I am small. I'm not fragile. I don't have like brittle bones or anything, but I like books and I'm not super athletic. I can run. That's about it. If somebody was chasing me, I could run 100%. Um, she's cute. She's little. Um, and did I mention her mom is the general? Okay, so her mom is the general. Her dad, he's dead, unfortunately. I don't know how he died. I'm sure I think it was something like a seizure or stroke or something, maybe heart attack. I think it was natural causes. He wasn't murdered or anything. He just died. Uh, but she really like took after her dad. Her dad was like into books, gave her books, uh, and she was going to go. So you can be part of this college and part of they're in this war. We don't know a lot about it right now in the beginning of the book. All we know is that there's a war, there's dragons, the humans and the dragons have paired up somehow to fight these other people that ride other dragons that are called wyverns or something. We don't know much about it. Um, but her dad was part of like the librarian squad, and I forget what they're called, but they're not called librarians. They're called, what are they called? No, I can't remember. Anyway, and her mom is a dragon rider, and so they were like opposites attract for some reason. I don't understand why they were a couple, but whatever. They had a couple and they had 3 kids, of which Violet is the youngest. Violet has had an older brother, and he was a dragon rider, but he died mysteriously in the war. Not mysteriously, he just died in the war because lots of people die in this dragon war that they're having. And it's kind of far away, right? So this is taking place kind of like at the school, think like Hogwarts kind of thing. And the war is taking place like kind of outside the school. And then her sister Mira, is that her name? I think that's her name. Her sister Mira is also a dragon rider. And so you go to this school and you learn like dragony stuff, and then you become part of the army. So, but you can also be a healer, or you can just be part of the infantry. But the dragon riders are like above everybody else, right? Because they get a dragon, which is pretty cool. I wish I had a dragon. What about you, Zoe? You wish you had a dragon? She does not. Maybe. She's pretty fearless, this one. Okay, so uh so Violet is told who Violet thinks she's going to go into the scribes. That's what they're called, the scribes. Violet thinks she's going to go into the scribes, but her mom's like, no, that's cool and everything, but you are actually going to go into the dragon school where everybody fucking dies. And Violet's like, but like, if I sneeze, my bones break. And her mom's like, cool, you're lightweight, you're fast, this will be fine. And Violet's kind of like, okay, I guess. She doesn't really go against her mom because she knows her mom's just going to chuck her in there anyway. And her mom, like, everybody listens to her mom because she's got a really powerful dragon. So her sister comes and is like, what the fuck, mom? You cannot send Violet into this thing. She's going to fucking die. She's just going to die. And her mom's like, too bad, she's going. Off you go. And so Mira's like, even Mira is kind of like, oh, no, now Violet's got to go. And so she's like, okay, I'm going to give you some advice here, Violet. And she takes one to look at Violet, and she's like, oh, fucking Violet. You are literally wearing, like, shoes that are slippery on the bottom when you know you have to, like, run across this, like, very skinny thing, and you need, like, so she she's like, Violet is going to suck at this. So she got her some new shoes that has like some tread at the bottom. Thank God. She got her like this really new cool outfit because she was just going to wear all these loose clothing and stuff to this dragon riding school. So she gets her this like corset that has her dragon scales on it, which is cool. That's sweet. She like decks her out, and Violet's got like a backpack full of books, and Mira's like, fuck that. Get rid of those books. Get them out of here. And Violet's like, but I like my books. And she's like, I don't care. You'll fall off and die. So, because one of the first things she has to do to even get into dragon school, you have to walk across this parapet, which is like this like skinny stone bridge very high up for some reason with no like railings or anything, and like a large part of the population that goes across this just falls the fuck off because it's slippery, it's skinny, and it's really high up. So if you have a fear of heights, don't go on it. I don't know. Okay. So Mira, the sister, is like, we gotta deck you out because you're not even gonna make it across the parapet at this point. And Violet's like, yeah, I'm really small and I have brittle bones. So thanks. And she also gives her a book that her brother wrote or something. I think. I think that's when she gives it to her. She might give it to her later. I can't remember now. But she's got like a book that her brother wrote, which is like a how to for Dragon College. Okay. So so now we're ready. She's ready. She's decked out in her new clothes. She's getting in line. You're going up to this parapet thing, and like you see these families hugging their children like one last time because some of them are going to fall to their deaths. And most of the people don't make it out of this dragon training college because there's only so many dragons and there's like 4 times as many kids, and most of them are going to die and not get a dragon anyway. Because reasons. I'm sure there's reasons. Maybe we'll get to them only halfway through the first book. Okay, so she's going through, she's walking up, and like so part of the very first thing she has to do is walk across this tiny skinny stone bridge in like hurricane level winds, and it's raining, and then there's this dude Jack who I don't even know where he came from, but he's just like, I hate you and I'm gonna kill you for no, like, I guess because she is small and weak, and also her mom is famous. And then there's this other dude who also, and we get to know him fairly well later in the book, called Zayden. Zayden? Yeah, that's his name. It's got an X in it, not a Z. But I don't know this. I only know this because I like had to look it up because I'm listening to the audio book, so I don't know how to spell anything. Okay, so and he is the son of this guy who rebelled against the dragon people. So there was this rebellion. Zayden's dad was the leader of the rebellion. Violet's mom, the general, stopped it, and they all decided that they were going to like execute the rebellion leaders, which is fair. I mean, if you have a rebellion, that's probably a good idea, I guess, in this kind of world. But then they decided, which I think is like the negative part here, which is probably a bad idea. But, you know, maybe we'll see how it goes. They decided that they're going to take all the kids of the rebels and make them go through Dragon College. So thinking probably that they were all like gonna die and not get dragons, but they don't. So they actually, some of them survive and get dragons, and now this Zayden guy is like a squad leader or a wing. They're called Fourth Wing, right? He's like the leader of Fourth Wing. And so he is doing well in Dragon College, and he has one of the most powerful dragons. And so he's standing there and he's like, and she's like, oh fuck, this guy's also gonna want to kill me because everybody's gonna want to kill her. And he's kind of like, yeah, but you're probably just gonna fall off the parapet. And so I don't want to bother killing you. And she's like, cool. So she heads out. Oh, and she meets this girl in line named Rhiannon, and Rhiannon also was stupid and didn't wear good shoes. So she's got like these slippery bottom shoes, and Violet's like, oh my god, you're gonna die. Why don't we switch shoes so you can have at least one shoe that's got tread on it? So then they become besties because Violet gave her a good shoe and she didn't fall and die. Spoiler alert, Rhiannon makes it across the parapet. So does Violet. I mean, if Violet fell to her death, this early on in the book, we wouldn't have a book. So she's obviously going to make it. So Violet makes it across, but not without fucking Jack, random ass Jack, who you hate, and you're kind of like, hopefully he dies, and he never fucking dies, at least not yet anyway. Again, I'm only halfway through the book. He's like, I'm going to come kill you. He throws some poor kid off the parapet, and then he catches up to Violet while they're walking across this parapet, and she's like whipping out her knife because she is fast. She's not strong, but that is another thing. Violet is weak and small, but she's fast and smart. That's the other thing. She's really smart and she's fast, and she gets her little knife out and she like puts it up to his, private areas and is like, I'm going to cut your balls off if you continue to try to kill me. And he's like, okay, fair. I still am going to try to kill you, but maybe not at this instant because I like my balls. And so they all make it across the parapet. Well, not everybody, obviously. And then at the end, they like stand them up and they're kind of like, and these are all the people that have died. And there's like 30 people died just crossing that's just the beginning, right? Now they have to like go through like kind of like murder Hogwarts, right? So they like this university they have to fight so they're actually allowed to murder each other when they're actually like training and stuff. That's totally allowed. So there are people trying to kill her because she's weak, and now she's got some friends around her. Mostly Rhiannon is the one I remember most, and she's got this other guy, Xaden, who is obviously he's tall, dark, and handsome, and brooding, and snarky, but he seems smart. And then she also meets, she knew this other guy named Dane, who's like the goody two shoes boy. He follows all the rules, but he grew up with Violet because his dad is like Violet's mom's second. I need like a whole map of all of the people and how they're all connected. Okay, so she has had a crush on Dane since she was little, and he is now a dragon rider and kind of takes her under his wing. Kind of. Not really, because he keeps following all the stupid rules, and people don't follow the rules here. They just murder each other left and right. Everybody's getting dead here all the time. Okay, so basically, what she has to do is she is now training, because at the end of her first year here, she's going to go through what's called the threshing, which is kind of like the dragon gets Pokemon. Except the dragon gets to choose you, right? The dragon gets to choose who they want to be a rider, if they even choose. The dragons are smart. They can speak, they are smart, and they have magic. And so she has to train, because the dragons will only bond with somebody who is like super tough, super strong, and all of that. And so part of being at Dragon College is to like train how to fight, train how to like run, work out, get into really good physical shape before you go into dragon picking time. Okay, so now we go back to Xaden. Okay, now he is kind of like this brooding guy. He's really tall. I think he's like 6 foot tall. He's probably like 6'2.5" or something. Who knows? He probably puts that on his Tinder profile. He is always lurking around. Like you always just see him kind of like staring at her. So obviously, like there's going to be some sort of love triangle going on between Dane and Xaden, and he like looks at her, right? He like looks at her. So he's hot, he's tall, he's dark. Something's going to happen here. We haven't gotten any yet, but if there's going to be spicy, it's going to be with Xaden. And he is meeting. So she follows him one night, or she's out, whatever. I forget what she's doing. She's doing something. She's lurking around. And he is meeting up with the other children of the rebellion. And the children of the rebellion are always supposed to hang out in threes for some reason. I don't know why. But they're hanging out as a group, and she thinks like, oh my God, they're planning a rebellion again. And she listens, and it's actually just Xaden trying to help them all not die, because everybody fucking dies trying to get a dragon. So he's just like, let's all band together, and I'm going to give you some lessons, so hopefully you don't actually fucking die. And she's like, well, maybe he's not as crazy as I thought. And he hears her in the shadows because we learn. So every dragon has some magic, and this is why they pair up, right? So the humans get to use the magic of the dragons when they create whatever their bond is. And then every dragon has a special skill. And some are like more basic and some are super cool. Like the leader of the whole army, he has like this really awesome, super cool black dragon, and he can see the outcomes of battles before they happen, which is a pretty useful skill if you're a general of an army. And I can't remember what Violet's mom's dragon does, but Zayden's dragon, what she does for him, and they're called signets, I think. And so they give him like special powers called signets, and he can control shadows. So he can like see through shadows. And I don't know what else he can do, but he sees Violet. He sees her through the shadows. She's lurking. She's small. She can lurk. He sees her, and he kind of like is a little impressed by her, obviously, but also doesn't hurt her. So he clearly like doesn't want to murder her. He in fact tells them while she's listening, like the group of other children, he's like, I don't want to kill her. Uh that's not what we're about. We're here to survive. Okay, so we're not really sure what's going on with him, but like by this point in the book, we're kind of like, well, maybe he's not quite as bad. They've got some banter going on, but they're not like at each other's throat. So then we get this kind of like training montage, right? So the point is they're supposed to like fight each other and like do and they can kill each other in these fights. And as we have known throughout this book, Violet is very small and she is fragile. She can break her neck, but just by turning her head too fast. So she comes up with this idea that she's gonna like. So she's got this book that her brother wrote, and he's like, just so you know, they pair you up to fight with people weeks ahead of time, so you can find out who you're supposed to fight, and then you can prepare. Genius. Okay, so she figures this out because of her brother's book, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna poison all of my people ahead of time, so they're all sick when they fight me, and then I can easily overcome them. This works out well for this is smart. I'm gonna poison my people so they're sparring and she keeps winning, which you think people would be like, how is she winning? She's tiny and small and weighs a pound and has brittle bones. But whatever, man. Her smarts overcome everything, except for she overdoes it one time and the person gets too sick before the fight. Dun dun dun. And so they're kind of going to let her out. But then who steps in? Why, Mr. Zayden steps in. And he's like, I'll fight her. And it turns out he knows the whole time that she's been poisoning everybody. And he fights her and he clearly like overpowers her, but in a kind of like sexy way and a nice way. And there's this one scene where she's like trapped and he's like, and she's like, and then and Dane is sitting there because now we're starting to see like Dane. Remember, Dane is her like childhood friend who she's had a crush on, is like all pissed because he's getting jealous, and you can tell this. It's actually pretty fun part of the book. And he kind of like shows her that, yes, it's great, you're poisoning your people, but A, you got to be better at it so they don't know you're doing it, because you're pretty obvious about it. And B, like, you do actually need to learn how to fight because you haven't really been learning how to fight and you suck at fighting. And she's like, yeah, that's fair. Okay. So Violet is smart, and she does use her smarts to kind of like overcome this a little bit, but she's got some plot armor. She's not going to die. Okay. So let's talk more about the dragons. They're not pets. Like I said before, they are smart. They get to basically make their own rules. They're the judge, the juries, and sometimes the executioners because they just randomly kill people if you look at them wrong. They choose their riders and they bond telepathically. And if they think that you smell like mediocrity, they will kill you. So you have to be really cool to get a dragon. And there are not as many dragons as there are people. And so this is the whole point of dragon school is to weed out the weaklings so they all die. I mean, you'd think you'd want to keep them alive. Like, okay, maybe you don't die, but you're too weak for a dragon, so let's like put you in the infantry or like, I don't know, get you sweeping some floors or cooking, but no, they're just dead. Um, so then comes the end date of year one, which is or maybe it's not the end of year one, but it's like part of the way into year one, they do the threshing. And the threshing is like basically a field, or it's not even a field because can go through the woods too. This whole big area filled with dragons. And they kind of like hang out, and you're supposed to kind of like casually walk around in by yourself and just be like, it's cool. I don't care about this dragon. And the dragons are supposed to look at you and be like, you're cool. Let's go. Or you like look at the dragon and you're like, and they're like, fuck you, and breathe fire on you and you're dead. And so before they get to the threshing, they have to go through this like obstacle course thing, and people die there too. And Violet has to create this like really creative way to get through it because she's too small. She can't get up part of it. She's too small. So she like uses the rules to kind of like cheat, but it's not cheating because it's within the rules, but she just like reads it exactly the way it is. Like you're allowed to use whatever you bring on your person in this obstacle course, and you're allowed to use other stuff as long as it's in the obstacle course. So she like uses a rope from a different obstacle to get over this thing, and she has a knife on her that she uses too, and she's like, that knife is part of my body, and and they're like, well, technically you're right, so you win. And Xaden is the one that's in charge of this and to decide whether or not she broke the rules. And he's got a little crush now. He lets her go through. And there's this girl there, and I forget her name, but she's like, sucks, this is cheating. And Zane's like, shut up, it's fine. Okay, so they make it up. They have to make it through. They get to practice this obstacle course, but on the day of, they have to make it all the way up. And once they make it all the way up, then they go into the threshing. Okay, so now Violet has made friends over this time. She's got a couple different friends now, and they're kind of like this cool little group. And I can't remember any of their names except Rhiannon for some reason. I'm sure if I heard them, I would remember them, but they're not very memorable people, quite honestly. It's one of the bad things about this book is that some of the side characters should be more memorable, and I wish she had, maybe in future books they'll develop them a little bit more, but probably not. They're probably just all going to die because everybody people keep dying, so I'm not remembering their name except for like Xaden, Dane, and Violet. And her mom, I can't even remember her mom's name. General Sorngale is all I know. She's got a brother who's dead, and her sister who is a dragon rider. Everybody else, I don't really know their name, so sorry. Yeah, I think it also has to do with the audiobook rather than visually reading it. If I had to read their names, I'd probably remember them more, but the audiobook you can kind of like zone out. Okay, so we've got threshing day. And Violet and her friends are kind of like walking through, like, we're cool, we're supposed to be cool, guys. And like one of their friends is kind of like not cool, and he gets burned up by a dragon. And honestly forget his name. I don't know his name, but he's dead now, so I don't need to know his name. And then so the other point is that there's one black dragon that is not bonded to anybody, and he said he's not going to bond to anybody this year. And the black dragons are the most powerful. And the other dragon that shows up is this tiny little golden dragon that's like a feather tail. So I guess I didn't explain that either. Their tails all have different like weapons at the end. So like there's like Morningstar tail and like sword tail, and like I don't even know. But this one's a little baby dragon, maybe. They don't really know because they don't know how dragons breed, but it's a little tiny dragon. It's gold and it's got a feather tail, whatever that means. And so they're kind of like, yeah, but nobody's going to bond with that because that dragon's too small. You can't even ride it. And it's pretty pointless to bond with that. And those dragons don't bond with anybody anyway. So fucking Jack, remember Jack from the beginning, who's like wanted to kill Violet this whole time just because he's an asshole. He's like, he and his buddies are like, I'm gonna go fucking kill this golden dragon because it's weak, and if anyone tries to bond it, it brings us all down. So I'm gonna go fucking kill this dragon. And so and Violet hears this and it's like, well, I like this cute little ass dragon, and I can't let them do this. So she follows them and she's like, yo, little fucking dragon, get the fuck out of here. And the dragon's like, I'm going to stay here. And so they're like, I'm going to kill this dragon. And they go to attack, and Violet steps in the way, and she's fighting them off. And then the big boy arrives. So the big ass dragon, the big black dragon, who was like, I'm not going to bond with anybody, he arrives. Oh, I guess I should say first. So Xaden is there with his dragon. His dragon's pretty pissed because she sees this happening and she's pissed. And Xaden is not supposed to interfere with this situation, so he can't really do anything. But he does kind of like warn Violet when they're about to attack her. But he's just standing there and he can't do anything. And so then the big black dragon arrives and he basically kills her. Jack fucking hightails it out of there. He runs away. He's smart. He's not stupid because he's like, I'm out of here. Disappears into the woods. The other guys get all burnt up to a crisp. And then Violet is standing there like, what the fuck? And then she hears a voice in her mind. And remember, when a dragon only talks to the person they're bonded to. And so the black dragon, shocking, I know, has bonded with Violet. And this is the biggest dragon, and Violet is the smallest person. And she's like, so they kind of actually, I like the dragon. He's really funny. And he kind of like makes fun of Violet a lot so far. So I'm really into this dragon. And then she hears another voice in her mind, and it's the little golden dragon who's decided that she is also going to bond with Violet. So Violet, the little weak sauce lady with the brittle bones, has not one but two dragons, which is unheard of in dragon times or whatever, but apparently it can happen. So she has to like climb on to this giant ass dragon, because part of it, once you get your dragon, once you bonded, you're supposed to get on your dragon and ride the dragon to like the parade grounds or whatever, and you're supposed to land your dragon there. So she gets on this dragon, immediately falls off the dragon because she is weak and she cannot like grip the dragon with her legs strong enough. So the dragon's like, oh fuck. And he uses his magic to keep her on, and he's like, hold on, we got to make this look good so like people don't make fun of me because I picked the stupidest human to pick, the weakest human. So he like holds her on, he does some flippies, and then he lands. And everybody's like, fuck, Violet got the biggest fucking dragon. And so part of it is to prove that you actually did get the dragon. You have to go to the lady and you have to tell the lady your dragon's name, because that's the only way they can prove that you know that the dragon's actually talking to you in your mind, is that the dragon tells you his real name. And so she says her dragon's name, and the little one is like, okay, now tell him my name too. And she's like, what? And she's like, okay. So then she says the second name, and they're all like, what the fuck? No, you can't have two dragons. Like, not only do you have the biggest dragon and you're like the weakest person, but you have two dragons? Nuh-uh. And even the dragons are like, we need to go talk this out. So dragons like take the fuck off. They go off and have a little dragon conference, and everybody's kind of like, fuck is happening? And Dana's like, holy shit, I thought you were gonna die, and now I'm gonna make out with you because. And so he kisses her, and Violet is immediately like, ew, that was not as good as I thought it was gonna be, because now she's got someone else in her mind, and that's Xaden. So, and Dane's like, I know we can't do this, we can't break the rules. And Violet's kind of like, she doesn't tell him, but she's kind of like, it's not about the rules. It's the fact that that was like the worst kiss I've ever had, and I've never even kissed anyone, and that felt like kissing my brother. So gross. So now Dane is like mad because he probably senses it. How could you not, right? You like passionately kiss somebody and they're just kind of like, whoa. You're gonna kind of notice maybe. Okay, so the dragons come back and they're like, yeah, no, it's cool. She can have two dragons, and they're just all kind of like, okay. So now she's got two dragons. And then they're like, okay, but like the bond of a dragon is not super powerful. at the beginning, and you have got like the biggest dragon. And so all of the stupid kids that didn't bond with the dragon are going to want to kill you so they can reset the bond and then potentially bond with your dragon. And she's like, well, everyone wants to kill me anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter that much. So now she's got her dragon, and there's this whole montage of her like practicing flying, and she keeps falling the fuck off because she's not very good at riding. Then she goes to bed one night and she's sleeping, and her dragon wakes her up and is like, "Wake up!" And she's like, "What?" And there's like a bunch of people in her room, about to kill her, basically. And she is like trying to fight them off, and she's about to get strangled to death. And then end of the first part of the book. So I don't know what happens after that. Obviously, she's not going to die. I mean, this is obvious she's not going to die. But she was like, someone's on their way. And I guess the other part that I didn't mention is that, so not only now does she have the biggest dragon, but her dragon's mate is Xaden's dragon. And when dragons are mates, they cannot bear to be separated from their mate for too long. And so when that happens, they are usually stationed together. So now Xaden and Violet are going to have to hang out with each other. And also Xaden has to keep Violet alive, because if Violet dies, then her dragon will die, because he's already lost a rider and he's like, I can't handle it again. If she dies, I'm going to die. And then if her dragon dies, then his dragon will die because she's his mate. So he's like, fuck. And then he'll die because his dragon is dead. So he's basically like, I have to keep her alive. So now he's invested in her. Dane's like, we got to follow the rules, and that's probably why we're not going to be together. It's definitely not because you thought it was gross when I kissed you. And now people want to kill her. So yeah, that's where we are in the story so far. So I thought that the world setting was good. I would definitely classify this as a little bit more YA than like adult fantasy. And granted, I have not gotten to the spiciness yet. The only spiciness I have read is the kiss, and that was a floppy kiss. It was not a good kiss. And so, but there's been a little bit of like sexual tension between Xaden and Violet, but I wouldn't say it was like spicy. So, but so far the themes have been very like, YA. It's college age kids, right? They're like early 20s, potentially teens. I don't really know how old everybody is in this Dragon College, if they all go at the same time or not. And so they're dealing with kind of like young adult themes, which is fair because they are young adults. So we haven't really gotten into any of that. So I would kind of like categorize it as kind of like YA romantasy, probably depending on the explicitness of the spiciness once we get to it, because there's definitely like a part, if it was like, I'd be like, well, I guess if it's meant for like early 20s, it's fine, whatever, it doesn't matter. But maybe not like younger teens or middle teens, depending. Again, the first half of the book, totally fine for like anybody. Very, very like mild stuff. It was fun. I would say it was really fun. I like the setting. I like the relationships. It is a fun, easy read. It is not too complex. It's not like getting into like an 8 million page Brandon Sanderson book. It is it's a pretty easy, fun read, and it is easy to follow. The themes are pretty basic. I don't think it's like overly complex what's happening, but it's a fun kind of novel concept with like the connection with the dragons and whatever's going on outside of the college at this point. And I'm only halfway through the first book. I mean, that's a lot to happen in the first book. She already got her dragon. I thought she was going to get her dragon at the end of the first book, and it's like halfway through the first book, she's already got her dragon. And I really like so far. We haven't had a lot of the dragons yet, but the interaction between Violet and her two dragons is actually really funny. So, so far that's really been really enjoyable. And I will be curious to see what happens. There's obviously something going on with the war that the truth isn't being told of some sort, because something happened with the rebellion, and the whole thing doesn't quite make sense what's happening, but also we don't really get a whole lot of information about it yet. So uh who knows what's going to happen in the rest of this book. But so far I think the characters are great. I do wish, as I said before, that some of the supporting characters were a little bit stronger, and then we got to know them a little bit better. But it's only halfway through the first book, so we could get to know them quite a bit better. Anyway, that is my take on the first part of Fourth Wing. I will do my review of the second part once I get the second part of the book, which hopefully will be soon. And then the other book that I did start reading was A Court of Thorn and Roses, which is another romantasy, but I'm only about halfway through that. So that one I have the whole book for. So I don't, and I'm actually reading that one, not listening to it. So when I get that one done, I will do a review of that one as well. Thank you for joining me on this journey with Violet Sorengale, and I look forward to joining you next time when I finish the book. Do not forget to like and subscribe. I expect to be doing more book reviews in the future, but I'm also doing this one because in anticipation of the show, which will come out eventually, and which I will do reactions to when it comes out, now that I've read the books and know what to expect. If you have any suggestions of books I should read, please leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you on the couch in the next reaction. Bye, everybody.